As the March 24 this year, the slum area of Susan Bay inside Freetown been catch fire and burn the area to dust. But wetin caused the fire? Now the first question I put forward to the acting director of the disaster management, now the ONS, and we happen for be the incident manager for the Susan Bay disaster, Sine Mansare, now this telephone interview.
That kind of disaster, they are waking up. Most times, although you able to establish the cause difficult because the people are not one be they're not one for be very honest. So the first reason we then give is and cause the fire. Then say that somebody be watch film. Then after they watch the film done, lights go off and not turn off. Now it go away. The way lights can now, it just come with any kind of spark and then the place the thing catch up. Another version they tell we say somebody they cook pepper soup, they go with left out unattended, then I fire catch up. Then you get a version where they tell we say now somebody they heat water with electric heater and off turn off then fire catch. So there are different stories, but the bottom line is there are two factors there. One, it can be connected to electrical problem and also with the careless use of fire. So now that then give us back down to that.
So far so good. Almost Osborne and almost people we think say there are Susan B. We ONS don't do findings for the disaster management.
So the households that are the family size are impacted. The household impacted are 1,597. 1,597 households that are the family size, family number. Then the houses really born are 254. Then the population, the general population of the affected people, now 7,093.
So far so good. What's in some of the recommendation we ONS go think say for the stop then kind disaster?
So in the first place, a lot has to be done. We therefore I don't be because Sudan's Bay it is not the hazard profile. It's among the highly prone communities in the country. There is never a time, there is never a year when the response to fire disaster now once or twice. So there are many options for preventing fire now. Whether them reconstruct the houses and properly as everything burned, the entire building they were raised to the ground, then go build proper houses, not go there in the same cluster, or you think say you give them proper building materials, we the marketer, meaning Ministry of Lands, government ministries, the lands, the Ministry of Works come again, do some proper demarcation, you help them out, or maybe long-term plans for relocate because they relocate people during the time of emergency, except if inside them be damaged and not habitable anymore. So there are many things that could be done for really preventing fire, create awareness, fire sensitization, education, but they continue to do the same thing. So you therefore be with behavioral change and many other things.
Here in, here out, you don't say that place, you don't be that kind of disaster prone. How serious the disaster management one government take action?
So it always don't be with cry because one thing we always know one thing. And for let people and begin develop and build houses in disaster prone communities. The issue of disaster management is not to one institution, the manager. Our focus, our role and mandate is to manage disasters and similar emergencies. But now, not giving the power. Even though now we get responsibility with the National Disaster Management Agency. Dangerous structures where it can cause hazard in the community or it can make disasters really big. But when it comes to relocation, now other institutions they do are not so we. So we come for issuing land, not so we did one. We go always the at the same place. We can make a recommendation, but we need to get every institution for doing you. If now you job for Gilland, not Gilland or not allow people to be that are settled in disaster prone communities. Once they are settled down, I tell you, it's very difficult to take them out of those communities.
What's going to be your courtesy call for prevent such occurrences? Not even Susan Bera, but like this part of the country, the provinces, they listen you for prevent such disasters.
So the first thing we can do across the world, they can only see disaster management when it comes to responding to the emergency. Disaster management has a circle. Now, three very important components. One, now risk reduction. Also, there prevention, mitigation, all the time. Encourage people that they undertake risk reduction activities. Meaning, when are not doing the way we will create disaster. If when I reduce the risk, you mitigate. If it happens, it reduce the impact. So everybody, everywhere, not build a swamp. You build a swamp, you are prone to flooding. Not go just a cut trees, left, right, center. Not do things so they create disaster. Let everybody doing bits for reduce them. That particular aspect, now that we all lack. All man can do things in your way. When disaster for them palm, you see people all over the world they rush come, for can give support. Then the other phase when the recovery phase, when the third phase of the emergency, instead of effective. Because in that phase you are expected to build better than it was before the disaster happened. So my advice to everybody now for let them reduce risk. Everybody put a lot do things that we know they create disaster. For the fire case, no going to joke with fire. Electricity, don't know how they manage them. These are all things you do. I don't say fire force can go around and give people their messages on safety, but we as a nation, everybody for put on deck and do the things that they reduce the risk.
As the March 24 this year, the slum area of Susan Bay inside Freetown been catch fire.